All right, we're going to get started with our post-race media availabilities from the first Blue Green Vacation Duel here at Daytona International Speedway to set the field for Sunday's Daytona 500. We are joined by Reed Sorenson, driver of the number 27 Premium Motorsports Chevrolet, who is now in the Daytona 500 this year. We will open it up to questions for Reed. Please raise your hand and we'll get a wireless microphone. We'll start there with Jacob and then go to Lewis.
Jacob Seelman, Speed Sport. Reed, you've run the gamut, been through this a couple of times with a couple of small teams, and to race your way in with this team, which might be one of the smallest teams you've been a part of here at the Daytona 500, how big is this for Premium? How emotional a night is this for you?
Well, it is a big deal. The money that comes in from this race for a small team is a big deal, and it helps us kind of get the ball rolling financially. And these guys worked really hard over the winter. I have a good motor in the car. This is probably the best motor I've had to try to race my way in. So I was excited about that we were able to put the effort in to have a good engine here. So just proud of everybody and looking forward to Sunday. I think it'll be fun.
Louis Norris Motorsports Review. And Reed, you've been in this game for a long time. How amazing is to make this one compared to all the other ones? And then the follow-up question, if JJ makes it to the 500, how great is it that two guys that was part of that 2006 rookie class to make it in this 500, considering both of your circumstances in your careers?
Yeah, and we'll have to wait and see who makes it, but a lot of times the smaller team guys can work together in the 500 too, so I'll be paying attention just to know, we'll have some options and people to work with on Sunday. So, anytime you try to make this race, it's very nerve-wracking, not only for the driver, for the team owners. I don't think my crew chief has slept in a week, so he said he's finally going to get to sleep tonight. So, it's something we think about for a month and a half, the off season, and finally, when you get here, and I've been on the other side of it where I've missed it, and it's very disappointing, and it takes a while to get over. So this was nice to come down here this year and get in.
Come up here to Matt.
Matt Weaver, Auto Week. Compared to other races in which you compete, given the challenges of racing for a smaller team, what is the comparison? Because I imagine the optimism of knowing anything can happen at Daytona gives you that sort of optimism. Maybe not necessarily that you're gunning for a win, but the right circumstances play out. Who knows? Oh,
for sure. As you know, like you just said, anything can happen here. And this is the best engine I've probably had here in years. Trying to even think when I've had one this good, probably 7 or 8 years ago. So, and it drove pretty good tonight. It's the first time I was in the draft, and I was pretty happy with it. And there's a few things we can fix, make it even better. So, you can win, it can happen. So, I think we'll be cautious. Like a lot of people say, they're going to be the first 80% of the race. Try to stay on the lead lap, and at the end, I think I'm going to have the green light to go race. So just have to wait and see how it plays out. But yeah, a lot of anything can happen, and especially here at Talladega, for a small team like us with a chance to win.
Bruce Meyer with Speed Sport. You've raced with the big teams. You were with Chip Ganassi. You started your career with them. As you get along in your career, the latter years, is it a lot more satisfying when you do something like you did tonight?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people haven't been through the position of having to race your way in, and it meaning so much to your race team. Like I said, that not only just financially, but it motivates the guys at the shop and the guys on the race team to keep working hard. So not only financially, but motivates everybody. So I don't know if it's more satisfying being with a smaller team making it or being part of a big team and doing something well. I think they're both satisfying, but I've been kind of on the other side of the garage for a few years now, so I guess I've kind of gotten used to the challenges that we face each and every week. So it's okay. It's part of it, and I still enjoy it and love working for this race team and this car owner, and I'm glad he gave me the chance to race.
Anything? Go to Taryn. Right in front of you. Right in front of you. Sorry.
Taryn Walk with NASCAR.com. What was the reaction on your radio when Suarez did wreck out?
My spotter was high pitched, to say the least. I didn't really have much emotion about it because I was still trying to concentrate on what we might or might not have to do to get in. But yeah, he's like, he was starting screaming at me. I'm like, nobody was around me, so I didn't know what he was screaming about, and it was because the 96 was in it. So, I don't know what happened in that wreck. I'll have to go back and look at it, but obviously he wrecked hard enough to take him out, and that put us in the position to stay ahead of the 49 car. And as long as the 16 was in front of us, then we would get in on speed. So we knew what we had to do. And from that point on, we stayed away from the pack because there was no reason for me to be near them and having a chance of tearing the car up. So once that happened, we were kind of just taking it easy and making sure we didn't screw anything up.
We're going to go upstairs to the press box for a pair of questions.
Christian at catchfence.com. Reed, do you know what the plan of attack is on Sunday? Do you have permission to race? Do you have the funding to race the whole race, or what's the plan?
Oh, yeah, we're racing. Yeah, we, like I said, I keep saying this, but we have a leased engine, and it's been running really good. So we'll be smart about it. And I think everybody has kind of that same approach to try to keep your car in one piece, and then usually we figure out how to all wreck at the end together. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're definitely racing. I do have the green light. That's why we put the effort into trying to have a fast race car, so we could make the race for one, and then once we made the race, we could be aggressive. So we'll see how the race plays out, and I think you still got to be smart here and not get too anxious at the beginning of the race, and keep your nose clean, and we'll race hard at the end.
Stay in the press box for another question.
Lee Spencer, RaisingBoys.com. Reed, I've known you since you were a smug teenager from Georgia, and I've yet to see you come in a media center and be this emotional. Why is this milestone hitting you so hard?
Well, you never know when you're going to not get another chance to run the Daytona 500. It's such a big race, and I didn't know for sure if I was going to be driving or spotting. I don't know if a lot of people know, but a lot of times when I'm not driving, I'm spotting. So I wanted to drive, of course. I enjoy spotting, but not as much as driving. So, just not knowing when the next time, this might be your last Daytona 500, and there's no guarantees on when you're going to get that next opportunity. So just to get the opportunity was very exciting for me. And then now that we're in, I can enjoy the moment and the weekend.
Anything final for Reed? Go over here to Deb.
Deb Williams, RacingToday.com. Reed, you keep talking about the engine. Who's your engine supplier this year?
ECR.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we've ran last year and this year. So I've been impressed with it so far. We thought we would qualify a little bit better. We didn't get a chance to heat the oil up just because we were struggling to get through tech, so I think that had something to do with it. But Saturday it showed pretty good speed, and we just didn't quite have that in qualifying. It was still good enough to get us in the race, if the 16 races way in. So just being third instead of fourth was a big deal, and gave us a couple ways to get in this race.
All right, Reed. Well, congratulations. We look forward to seeing you on Sunday.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the questions.
Happening. No, I'm not either.
All right, we're going to continue with our press conferences after the first blue-green vacation duel, setting the field for Sunday's Daytona 500. We are joined by the crew chief of the race-winning car, Paul Wolf. The race-winning car was the number 22, Shell Pennzoil Ford. We will open up to questions. Please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic. Go to Jacob and then Jerry.
Jacob Zielman, Speed Sport. First off, I'm still tripping on you walking in here in Pennzoil stuff. But in that vein, how important and how nice is it for you and Joey to get off to a new partnership and put it right in victory lane like this?
Well, it definitely builds confidence for sure. Obviously, we've both been with the Team Penske for quite some time, and we both had success there, right? But when you start moving pieces around and teams and stuff, you never know what's going to happen. So you have the confidence in each other, but until you actually go out there and do it, there's always some doubt. So this is obviously just a small win here at the duel, but it definitely will build some momentum, and as we work through our relationship here.
Go to Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, Kicking the Tires.net. Paul, obviously, along those same lines, when this happened, it kind of caught everyone off guard. My understanding, you guys came in and it was a switch up. But what is it like working with Joey one-on-one versus as a teammate when you were with Brad?
Well, it's obviously different. Each of the drivers have different strengths and weaknesses, just like we all do as crew chiefs as well. So really the last month has just been trying to spend a lot of time and understand, kind of his approach to racing and the things he's used to, what he likes, what he doesn't like, and then, really just kind of blending everything together, take the strengths of each of us and hopefully put together a stronger package than we've had in the past. So it's been good. There's still a long ways to go. It was nice to get, some practice sessions last Saturday, and now we've got 2 short races under our belt. But I think, the biggest part is going to be when we hit the West Coast swing there and get to a lot of those style racetracks, and then we're going to really start to understand, kind of where we are and the areas that we want to work.
Any idea on who got the best deal out of all this for you?
I don't know. You'll have to ask someone else that. But this is the deal I got, and I'm gonna work as hard as I can. And I know Joey is he puts in the time. I'll give him that. He puts in the time, and he's as dedicated as any I've seen. So that's good. He's got a lot of experience, but he's still very open to new ideas and changing maybe some of his ways just because he wants to do what's going to be best for the team.
Go to Matt.
Matt Weaver, Auto Week. I know this doesn't directly involve your car, your team, but the incident with the 12 and the 96, it seems like it kind of boiled down to a communication error on when you guys were pitting. From your standpoint, what was that process like? And then for Sunday, how important is it to make sure that everyone knows what that process and timing is like?
Yeah, that's the thing. Obviously there was we had a pretty good group of Fords in that duel, and I think we've been doing a good job of working together. We talked about it before the race of kind of what our plan was. The communication part sometimes when you get in the race and whether the chats are working or not, and the timing of all that. Is definitely something we've got to look at because we kind of missed it a little bit is basically what happened there. So having a plan is one thing, but then executing it's another. Obviously there was a miscue with that, so we'll have to look at what went wrong and try to learn from it. That's all we can do is try to put the mistakes, learn from the mistakes and put them behind us and move forward. So I thought as a whole we worked well together. All the Fords I thought did a really good job, and obviously the 10 was a strong partner with us and helping push us to the finish there. So I'm encouraged by how we all work together. We just got to continue to fine tune some details and make sure we don't have nothing like that happen Sunday.
Any additional questions for Paul? All right, Paul, congratulations. Good luck on Sunday.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, we're going to wrap up our media availabilities from the first Blue-Green Vacation Duel. We're joined by our race winner, Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford. We will open up to questions. Start with Jacob.
Jacob Seelman, Speed Sport. Joey, I asked Paul when he came in here, I'm still getting used to that, ask you the same thing. How big is it to start the partnership between the two of you off in victory lane like this?
Well, it's that's what you dream of, right? Is when you have a new team like this, all working together. There's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but being able to knock a win off pretty quick here, even though it's just the duels and it's not the 500, it's still a momentum builder. It shows that we all can do it together. And even though it is a super speedway, it's not a Las Vegas or some of the West Coast races coming up. It's still something that we can build off of, which is nice. It's a great thing to have. There's a lot of teamwork that went into this race tonight to make this all work. But definitely, being able to click off some good pit stops or a good pit stop tonight, and also just working together with the other Fords and working together as one team really paid off at the end of this thing. I think it's I think when you're working with someone that you haven't worked with a lot, you tend to over communicate on both sides. I think Paul does, and so do I. And I'm the king of asking questions a lot of times, sometimes dumb questions, but I'll ask them. And I think that's really excelled some of the communication between the two of us, and also our engineers. All three of us, four of us, work really closely together. As this has kind of started over the off season, talking about setups, talking about how we wanted to race, talking about just so many different things. That's all you can do in the off season. You don't get to test anymore. So all you do is talk about race cars. So it's nice to actually work on something and see a little bit of the reward so far early in the week.
Going to come to the far right to Hill and then go to Jerry.
Joey over here. Congratulations on a good win and getting things started out well here for the big weekend. You guys were right up there drafting. Of course, you had Eric helping you a lot, but Ricky was right there, and he had Denny helping him until that last lap. It appeared they were going to be a lot of trouble for you. Did you guys feel that you're okay? You had something for them, and you blasted away, but it looked like they faded a lot. Did you guys just get better, or what do you account for what happened there?
Obviously, I need to kind of go back and rewatch it to understand everything that's happened out there. But I do feel like we won because of numbers. And everyone working together here today. No secret, the 47 car is the fastest car, qualified first, and was the only car that can go down to the bottom and pull down a bottom lane like that. The only car that can do it. So it goes to show the speed that's in that thing. But one Chevy can't beat 6 Fords. It's not going to happen, and that's what we saw here today. Is that we just saw a lot of good teamwork, with Eric and also the other Fords behind all of us. We all did what we needed at the right times, and to keep shoving ahead and being able to clear that bottom lane on the last lap was a big deal. And at that point, I figured we were going to race pretty hard, and then the 6 got to the outside of 10 and kind of double filed it out. And at that point, I was able to kind of cruise in. But just good teamwork, racing to make sure a Ford wins this thing, and taking the points that we can. Good job. Thank you.
I'm going to go to Jerry and then Jordan and then Dan.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. Joey, are you okay? Are you going to be 100% by Sunday?
I hope so. This is lingering with me. Jeez. My little guy's got it now, so that's no fun.
And also, you kind of touched on it, but it is a qualifying race, but does it mean anything to you to get the win? I mean, to kick off the season with a win like this, how do you
I get excited about winning anything. I'm obviously a very competitive person. And winning anything in Daytona is a really big deal to me. Whether it's the duels, whether it's a tricycle race, I don't really care. I want to win it. And so, yes, I get very excited. I wanted to do a burnout, but I felt like this wasn't the right time to do one of those, considering I got to use this car again. So kind of felt like I needed to do a burnout for the fans, for me, because I enjoy it. But we'll have to save that to next Sunday, hopefully. But it's and honestly, the 10 points. That's one thing that's really big about this race is I think everyone kind of forgets that, but it's basically a stage win. And there's no guarantees what's going to happen in the 500, right? And we've seen crashes early in that race in the past to where you might not get another point in this thing, So getting the points while you can is so important throughout this whole season, especially the Speed Week. So, thank you. Thanks.
Go to Jordan, Dan, and then Holly.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. Joey, only your second race with Paul, but you are already a good speedway racer at Daytona and Talladega. Has Paul come over and kind of offered you any more tips or tricks to improve your skill set?
We haven't actually really talked about the draft that much. We've talked more about strategy and, kind of how the races play out, how we all need to work together, those things like that, but not as much of, how to get runs, how to get pushes, how to work the air. Those things TJ and I study together pretty hard, and that's so we kind of. Paul seems to be, and still getting to know him, but he seems to be the type of guy that's, hey, you're hired to do this job, and he expects you to do it, and he's not going to babysit you and have an eye over your shoulder all day long saying, well, why'd you do this or why'd you do that? I think he will if you do something wrong and maybe work you through it, but to start, he's kind of said, hey, this is why you're here and at this level, and this is why I'm here at this level, and he's that way all the way through his whole race team, through his engineers, his mechanics, through the pit crew. He expects people to do their job, so it's a good leadership style. It's fun to kind of see how it works. He's tough. He's intense, which I like. He's fiery, which I did not know about, and I like that because I am too. So it's gonna be a fun pairing.
Go to Dan, Holly, then Bruce.
Dan Gelston, AP. Joey, what stands out to you from your visit with the president at the White House after you won the championship, and how do you feel about the fact he's coming to watch the race on Sunday?
Amazing that you think about it. The leader of our country is coming to the Daytona 500. How cool is that? That kind of solidifies what our sport is, right? It's a huge event. We are a big sport. And to be able to have the president come here, that's something we all should be proud of. Whether you support him or not, doesn't matter. It shows that the unity in our sport and how big our sport really is. I had a blast going to the White House. That was an amazing honor to go up there and with our whole race team and get the tour from the president. And he was as cool as a normal guy. It's some of the conversations were very. Relaxed and, kind of go with the flow up there. So I felt very uncomfortable. I will say this, making a speech when you have Donald Trump, Roger Penske, and this guy Joey Logano that nobody knows. You're like, what am I doing here? I don't fit in. But it was an amazing experience and something I'll cherish forever.
Got a Holly, Bruce, and then Dustin.
Hey, Joey. Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service. I know what you said about how fast Ricky was, but he didn't have the Chevrolets necessarily with him in this race. He will on Sunday. Are there any clear favorites to you for the race, or do you expect it to be typically wide open with a whole lot of possibilities?
I have a hard time picking favorites right now. The duels are unique. You may see some racing like this early in the 500 while the stages are going with different strategy like we saw before the caution came out. We had two different strategies going on out in the racetrack, which was fun. I wanted to see how it was going to play out. I'm glad it played out this way too. This is fine, but I wanted to see how that would be if it stayed green, what was going to happen. But at night, right now, the track's got a lot of grip. Cars are handling pretty well. Daytona 500 is not going to be like that. So, what worked tonight isn't going to work Sunday. So, these next few days of practice are important. Thanks.
Bruce Martin with Speed Sport. Mr. Penske's had a rather busy winter. What do you think of all that?
Which part? He's got a lot going on.
Yeah, he's acquired a few new racing ventures.
Yeah, just amazing. I think for him, listening to him talk about it, he always goes back to the story about when he went there with his father in Indy. I'm talking about and watching his first Indy 500, and I think it's a full circle thing. And he made the comment at one of our team breakfasts is, he said something. Don't quote me perfectly on this, but he said something in the lines that, I hope my dad's proud of me now. Like I hope how cool is this? I kind of went from watching a race there to winning a boatload of Indy 500s to screw it, own the racetrack. You know what I mean? Like, he owned the race already. He might as well own the track too. So it's been really fun, and he is so passionate about it. He's doing it in typical Roger Penske style. He's walking the whole place and telling everybody this needs to look better and this needs to be cleaner, and renovating all the bathrooms. And like, he goes through every single one. He told me how many bathrooms he walked in, and I forget what it is. There's a boatload of them there, though, which I didn't know. But he wants the fan experience to be top notch. He wants it to be Penske perfect, just like our race teams are. And I can't wait to see the changes, and and obviously they're willing to do some big things with the Xfinity race already. You see that, so he's not scared to break some glass and make some big moves, but he's also going to make it a world class facility, even more so than what it is.
Plus, he wants to restore the Brickyard 400, and from your standpoint, that's got to be huge for NASCAR to be able to bring that back.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't ask for someone better to own a racetrack. You want somebody that is passionate about motorsports, passionate about making, the experience great, making the racing great. All of that is the utmost importance to him. I believe it's more important than making a buck for Roger, and that's what we need as a sport. We need people that look at the long road, and say, hey, we're not here for a short-term gain. We need to make sure this is something that's going to be here for a long time and continue the heritage that so many pioneers of our sport, not only of NASCAR but of IndyCar and everything else they've raced there, to continue that heritage that you see just walking through the museum there. You see that, and that's important for, I think, our future generations to know about motorsports and how we got to this point with just automotive in general.
Go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Joey, the 10 car seemed to be able to was back behind you, pushed you a lot, and certainly seemed like at times able to give you a tandem draft that looked to have gone about a third of a lap. How much is a tandem going to play a factor, or because of the conditions, do we see a little bit more exaggerated of the pushing in the tandem than what you might see Sunday?
No, you're going to see tandem for sure. It's not going to be the old school tandem where you lock for laps, right? You're locked for half a run. That was a lot of fun. The cars don't handle good enough to do that. It's a little, it used to be very stable when you had a pair of 400s across the back and you had some mechanical grip in these things and you can lock in and push. Now they're a little unstable and you're, moving around a little bit while you're getting pushed, but it works, right? It's successful at the right time. So being able to get to each other's bumpers and lock up and really start gaining that momentum that you see, it takes a minute to kind of get it rolling. And that's why you don't see it happen every lap. We would do it every lap if we could because it works. But it's hard to get to that point and get the pushes and get someone to stay on you like that. But it also takes, like I said, 2 cars that can do it is important, right? A car that can get there and stay there, a car that can handle. But you also got to have 2 drivers that know what the heck they're doing because it's dangerous. We've seen it plenty of times that's where the wrecks come from, is things like that.
Come up front to Kelly.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. So to follow up on what you keep saying about handling and stability, in general, how are these cars handling? How stable are they? And it looks like when it comes to the runs and stuff, even when you try to be single file, that they very quickly, everybody's closing back up again. So how are they just handling in general?
Yeah, I mean, that's why this package has caused more wrecks, is because the cars, you think with so much downforce, that they're going to handle great. Well, what do the teams do when there's so much downforce? They take all the mechanical grip out, trying to get the back down as much as they can, trying to get the pitch of the car to be, to take the most drag out of it as possible. That's how you make speed. That's all well and good when you're by yourself, and then you get dirty air and you don't have the downforce and you don't have the mechanical grip, and you have the ability to get to each other's back bumpers way easier than what it was when we had the small spoilers on the car. That's what's causing the crashes, because then the cars are out of control and we're able to get closer to each other, and the next thing you know, hee-haw, we're going for a ride. And that's what we see towards the end of the races when guys are getting very, very aggressive on the racetrack.
Anything final for Joey? Far left side.
Parker Wood in the Skyboat. Do you ever find yourself, when you start your engines and then the inclement weather, do you ever find yourself losing focus and motivation, or not motivation, focus on the anticipation built up, and then you just having to sit there in the delay? What's your mindset in that?
To be honest with you, I've been doing this long enough now to kind of know how to get into the mode that I need to be in a snap of a finger. So I'm able to stay kind of relaxed even before I get into the car and obviously go through everything I need to go through and be prepared. But seems to be, for me, if I kind of keep relaxed, that helps. And then usually coming to the one to go before we go green, that's kind of like my time that I can click into the mode I need to be. And you get into kill mode or whatever you want to call it. And that's when the game changes for me, and there's a different Joey, as you guys know. So that kind of changes at that moment most of the time.
All right, Joey, congratulations. Good luck on Sunday.
All right, great. Thanks, guys.